Well, good morning, everybody. Ron Wheeler here. Welcome to our presentation this early morning. And I'd say it's probably morning for most of us. It's only 11 a.m. here, almost 11 a.m. here on the in Ohio in the East Coast time frame. But good morning, and thank you for joining us. And I started the room just a few minutes early because I always like to make sure that the technology works and we don't have any issues with it. Every now and then something breaks, so we have to make sure that it's working before the class starts. So I'm excited to be here. I hope you guys are too. This is going to be a great hour or so that you're going to spend with me, and we're going to learn really how to generate 3% per month with as little as one option trade per week. So get excited. We got some good stuff coming your way here. But before we officially start, I would like to just do a quick microphone check. Let me know if you can see my screen. It should say on air. And then if you can hear my voice, just type a Y or a yes in there. That way I know that all of that technology is working and we're good to go. Let me move my stuff around so my technology is working okay. All right, see lots of yeses in there so far. Who was first? Calling out the first person. Gerald, I see you were first, and Philip, and Jeffrey, and Michael, and Edward. All right, good. So it looks like the vast majority can hear my voice and see my screen. I almost reversed that. I said hear my screen and see my voice, but you probably can't do that. But that's okay. We're all here together. Richard, as well, welcome to all of you. Good to have you with us. So, like I said, now's a good time, by the way, if you're wondering, well, where do I respond to? There's a chat window in GoToMeeting. It actually says, I think, it says chat. Then you just type your message in there and hit send, and then we hear it. And then we can answer your questions. So keep that in mind. Now, while we're just kind of getting ready to start the formal presentation, I'm just kind of curious, what time is it where you're at? I mentioned that it's 10:57 a.m. where I'm at. I'm in Ohio, by the way, in Northeast Ohio, on a beautiful, nasty, rainy day where all the snow is turning to slush. That's kind of a bummer, but what are you going to do? I just always like to be curious to where we're broadcasting from. It's always good information. Gerald, you mentioned 11. I see a lot of 11s in there. Wow, most of you guys so far in the East Coast time frame with me as well. That's cool. Noon. There you go. Cambridge, Nova Scotia. Okay, so Richard, you're a little bit farther out there. Okay, 0900. Jerry, you mentioned that. So you're obviously in somewhere in the middle part, like in the mountain region. I think it's like 8 o'clock in California. 8, 9, 10, or is it 9, 10? Yeah, 8. I'm always confused. I always say I'm good at math, bad at arithmetic. And then also, just kind of curious, what do you do for a living? Are you retired, still working? The only reason I ask is, I originally developed these techniques that you're going to learn today to help retirees generate additional income. I found over the years that I got clients all over the spectrum. So, guys like me who are 47 years old and just like to use this as a second income source, or retirees just looking to see if they can create some income every year outside of their normal investments. I just always am curious to see what the demographics are. Okay. I see mainly a lot of retirees. That's cool. Still working, hope to be retired soon. Well, let's hope we can get you there a little bit sooner. That'd be great for everybody, I think. And then semi-retired, I see that one as well. All right, well, that's cool. So, like I said, the best part about what we're going to show you today is that you can use this ultimately no matter what your situation is. Retired, not retired, looking for a second income stream, it's all good. That's the beauty of this. Like I said, I've got clients that go from, the earliest client that I've ever taught was 14 years old, and I got people in their 90s that do this. That's the great part of what we're going to be learning today. So we can do pretty much anything that we want to do with this type of system. So that's the cool part. All right. Well, it's almost 11 o'clock, so we're going to get started here in just about, well, I can't see the second timer on my clock, so we're going to get started here in just a few seconds. I got a couple more things I got to do to get started, and we'll be right back with our beginning. All right, well, it's 11 o'clock, so let's officially get started. I want to welcome all of you to today's webinar. It's called the Options Paycheck and How to Generate 3% per month with one option trade per week. And in today's webinar, I'm going to be showing you the breakthrough system we developed here at VectorVest that's going to help you generate income in any market. Now, the information I'm going to share with you today has not only changed my life, I've seen it change the lives of so many people. So I hope you're excited about it. In this webinar, you're going to see how you could begin making a paycheck averaging 3% per more a month. Now, keep in mind, you can do this regardless of market direction. You can do it with little to no prior experience with options. It's safer than buying or selling stocks. And the great part is you can implement this very, very quickly. Now, I know it might sound too good to be true. You might be thinking, hey, is this legit? You want some proof? And I would too if I were you. I see those annoying, overhyped advertisements of the guy standing next to the fancy car, flying in their private jet. Listen, I'm not like that. I like to let the results stand for themselves and let you decide. So, this is my results from the entire year of 2023. I have a real money account that I trade with my clients. Each week we place live trades together. The paycheck system was over $37,000 in profits last year based on $100,000 in an account size. So that's 37.2%, 3.1% per month on average. Now, one thing I want you to keep in mind as we go through the presentation, I want you to look at these numbers right here. My average winning trade's about 1,000. My average losing trade's about 1,000. I don't have big losers. I had 8 winning months last year. I had 4 losing months last year. That's what you're going to see. You're going to have months where you go down, where you go up, but in the grand scheme of things, it's going to average out to that 3% per month. Now, speaking of that, had a great letter here. I've been teaching this since 2016 to people, and one of my recent students sent me this email in December. He said, hey, Ron, just want to send a quick email to thank you and your team for the SPX Paycheck course back in September. I've been using this method and tracking my performance and thought you'd like to see the results. I entered my first 35 Delta trade on September 21st, 23, with only $5,000 in my account. Now, less than 3 months later, I'm already up 24%. Thanks again. I'll be teaching this method to my retire in-laws to help them grow their income in retirement. Now, I love to hear that. And it's also a lesson for you. You don't need to dedicate 100 grand to this. You can start very small while you're learning, okay, and build up very, very quickly. Now, if you start with a $5,000 account and you average 3% per month, compounded over 15 years, that puts you at $1 million. That's significant. Now, if you start with a little bit more, let's say 25,000, you'd be near $1 million after 10 years. You're looking at some serious money. Now, clearly, if you have more than $5,000 or $25,000, you definitely get there much, much faster. Now, some of my clients were kind enough to share their photos and their stories with you and their results. And we'll talk about a few of them today. These are real people just like you. And as I teach you the system and share their stories, I want you to pay close attention because you might find that you're in a very similar position now as they were when they first started here. My name again is Ron Wheeler, and I'm the options trading manager here at VectorVest, and I've been trading now for 27 years. Now, when I first started out, for my first couple of years, I had mostly losses. I traded commodities. In fact, I bought a couple of my trading accounts. Now, the reason that I was losing was because I was trading in a way that required me to be right to make money. If I bought something, it had to go up. If I sold something, it had to go down. If I wasn't right, I'd lose money. Now, I wasn't a real big options guy. I didn't even like options back in the day. But an interesting aha moment came to me when one of our clients, who was a hedge fund manager, came to our office to visit us. He showed me really the secrets to how the institutions trade and how they make money. He showed me the inside secret to actually using options properly so that even if I'm wrong with my analysis, I could still make money. He showed me how to use options in a way that controlled my risk. Basically, he showed me how I stack probability and control my risk. We're going to talk a lot about that today. Think of the pressure that takes off you. You don't even have to be right to make money, and you're controlling your risk right from the start of the trade. So in today's webinar, I'm going to show you the exact system I use to generate these types of returns. I'm going to show you many case studies and examples of our clients who are doing this, and I'm going to show you our system so that if you learn and follow the strategy, you can do the exact same thing. Now, stay with me to the end because I put together a checklist that's going to help you plan out a trade. It's a PDF. I'll drop it right in the handout section in your GoToMeeting webinar panel. Remind me when we get to the Q&A section because at the end, I mostly forget after an hour. I'm so into what I'm doing, I forget pretty much everything at the end, okay? All right. Why is this such an important topic? Because without an income system, it's on you. And that creates a number of problems for us. If you aren't retired, It keeps you stuck in a situation where you have to work in order to live. Whether you got a lot of money or no money at all, concerns about finance are one of the leading causes of stress. Worrying about whether you'll have enough or if you're going to run out of money, that can have a big impact on your life, your health, and your relationship. If you're already retired, you might be watching your savings get depleted faster than you can fill it, especially with how prices are going up so much. If things don't improve, you may fear that you'll have to, you'll have those losses that continue to draw down your account. You're going to get behind on your goals, maybe even question your ability as an investor. You might even fear you'll have to give up on investing and go right back to work. Worst case scenario, you run out of money during retirement. Now, with a system to help you generate income, things are a lot different. And I think this is one of the most important points of the webinar. So pay close attention, even write this down. To be financially free, all you need to do is learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. So I'll say this again. In order to become financially free, you need to learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. Whether you're still working or retired, the ability to generate income from your investments is one of the most empowering skill sets you can have. When you have the ability to generate income from your investments, your life will change. And this is the great part about a live presentation. Somehow my Alexa device just got triggered in the background and it was telling me about financial freedom. I love it sometimes. It's great. Anyway, if you're still working, you can increase your earning capacity. It's like having a second job. If you're retired, you can have a consistent source of income as if you quit your job, but they kept paying you. It's like a tap that you can turn on whenever you want. This allows you to do the things you want to do now and when you retire. When you got a system to help you generate income, it can help you retire younger. Now, as I said before, I believe this is one of the most important points of the presentation, so I'll say it again. When the income from our investments exceeds our living expenses, we become financially free or have the ability to retire. For example, Brian's a client of ours who's a great example of how easy you could become proficient at drawing an income from the market, even if you don't want to invest a lot to begin with. Now, Brian said he had some health problems. He needed a way to supplement his income. By using the options paycheck system, he was able to generate $23,000 in profit starting with just $6,000. He had 100% winning trades in 10 months, 31 of 31 winning trades using our most basic index system. And the key point here is this. It's not beginner's luck. It's the result of following the system. It's the system that helped him get 100% winning trades and create that $23,000 in profit starting with just $6,000 in 10 months. And he did it safe. Now, the first thing you need to know to take control of your returns, it's a bit of a strategic mindset shift here. You're either going to continue being the gambler where you lose more than you win, or you're going to become an option seller and win more than you lose. Being an option seller is the way that you can make consistent income each month, and it allows you to win even if you are wrong. Now, why do we want to be the casino? Well, the casinos always win, right? The house always wins. Why? Because they control and they stack probability in their favor. And the options paycheck system is built around the same concept of massively stacking the odds in your favor. So make a note of this. In order to control your returns and results, you need to know how to stack probability in your favor. And the obvious question is, well, how do we do it? Well, that first step is that shift from being the buyer of options to being the seller. So let me explain. Bruce is a great example of that shift from gambling on stocks to being in the casino and controlling and stacking probability in his favor. Prior to working with us, he had mainly taken stock tips from brokers. Bruce focused on our SPX income system, which is our most basic trading system. He said he's not the most technical person in the world. But in the time that he's been working with us, he's grown his trading account from 100 to 497,000 in 3.5 years. He's achieving a 74% win percentage simply by following the rules of the options paycheck system. And the old system, he says, takes him around 15 minutes a day. So let me show you how this works. Here's an example of a typical trade you've been taught to make. You find a stock you like, you think it's going to go up, so you either buy shares of it or you buy a call. Now, why do you buy a call option? Well, that's pretty much what you learn to do when you start trading options. If you think a stock will go up, you buy a call. If you think a stock will go down, you buy a put. But what ends up happening a lot of times when you do this? Either the stock doesn't go up, or maybe it doesn't go up enough, and the call you bought ends up expiring worthless. Has that ever happened to you? Yes? Well, remember when I said in the beginning that I really wasn't a big fan of options at the beginning? This is why. Well, what's the problem causing you to lose? Most people feel the problem is, well, maybe they picked the wrong stock. Maybe their option was the wrong strike price or the wrong expiration. But let's talk about the real problem. If you've been losing money or had more losses than winners with other systems, it's not necessarily your fault. It's because most of the systems on the planet teach you to be on the wrong side of the trade. You're taught to buy an option. But as a buyer, the probabilities are not on your side. And for most people, they end up buying and losing and buying and losing and buying and losing. Our options paycheck system teaches you a new way of thinking. You need to be a seller and not a buyer. This is how you get ahead of everyone else. This is how we put probability on our side. This is how you win even if you are wrong. So let's take a closer look at selling options. As a buyer, a typical trade gives you a 50-50 chance to win. Why? Because when you buy, the only way you make money is if the stock moves in your direction. But instead of having that buyer's mentality, we're going to have a seller's mentality. Instead of hoping a stock goes up, as a seller, you're going to strategically set up your trade using probability. Probability will tell you where the stock is not likely to go. So instead of needing the stock to just go in your direction, you can pick a price like you see here at that yellow arrow that says, as long as the stock just simply stays above there, I can make money. Now think about that. You pick a price below the stock if you're bullish, and as long as the stock stays above it, you make money. So if the stock goes up, you make money. If the stock goes sideways, you make money. The stock can even come down a little and you still make money. So right from the very beginning, probability is in your favor. And in some trades, we can even increase that probability even more. We'll talk about that later. You simply choose a lower price, which gives you a bigger area where you can be right. In fact, we find a lot of our trades starting off with about a 70% chance of success. You can only do this as an option seller. As a seller, you're putting the probability of success in your favor, and that is my definition of an income trade. An income trade is one where you can make money even if you're wrong on market or stock direction. Now, you remember Bruce? He continues to trade with us every week. In fact, he recently posted in our private Facebook group and said, another day trading on the beach. Got my eyes on AMC and a cold beer. Life's good. Thank you, VectorVest and Ron, for giving us the tools to do what we do from anywhere. That is a great picture of financial freedom. Now, another client of ours, Mike, he was someone who dabbled with options but said he lost on each trade. Can you imagine how frustrating that's got to be to lose on each of your trade? Well, eventually he just gave up options trading. He went back to the books to try to learn more, but he said he never felt comfortable. He knew what he was doing. He had a lot of options knowledge, but no set criteria of how to use it right. So Mike and I worked together. I taught him the options paycheck system of being an option seller, and he said he became like an income machine. After he learned the system, he went out and said he had 17 out of 19 winning trades and made over 12 grand in his first 4 months. The key lesson here is going from that gambling idea or buyer to seller or the house. That turned his situation around immediately. He was so proud of his success, he even posted a copy of his trades. And you can see, take a look at the profits on the profit column. Let me get my laser pointer out here. Profit column versus the losses. And then look at the work days to close. 7, 5, 4, 2, 7, 7, 10. He's pulling in about $1,000 every 7 to 10 days. And that's the typical trade length that we look for, 7 to 10 days. Now, if you're like a lot of our students and Mike, you can start by just simply trading the SPX. That's an index that tracks the S&P 500. That involves only one trade per week and has averaged about 4% plus per month since 2016. The odds are stacked in your favor on these trades. You're not looking for one big home run trade to become a millionaire overnight. You're growing your account steadily each year. And that's really the key takeaway. Home runs really look good. They make beautiful advertisements, but singles are what wins the game and makes income. These singles are what enables you to never run out of money and be able to do the things you want to do. Now, you've seen by flipping from buyer to seller, you can stack the odds significantly in your favor. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to stack the odds even further by understanding and capitalizing on the three most common buyers or gamblers' mistakes. Mistake number one is that buyers simply choose unrealistic strike prices. They choose strikes that are so far away the stock has no chance of hitting it. Let me explain. Here's a stock. Let's say you're bullish on the stock. A mistake a lot of options buyers make is they buy calls with strike prices way above the current market. Now, the stock has a very little chance to go up to that price. It's very unprobable. But why do they do it if it's so not probable? They do it because those options are very inexpensive. They're very cheap. That's that I can spend 50 bucks and hopefully make 1,000. It's a lottery ticket. People treat options like lottery tickets, and most of the time they end up losing. They're the gamblers. Now, since there's always going to be people out there who are buying those options, you may as well be the one who sells it to them. Because when you sell them those low probability options, that gives us a high probability of winning. And the same goes for puts. Since there are people out there who buy puts way down here, either as lottery tickets or cheap insurance, we are going to be the one who sells it to them. It really doesn't matter why they're buying them. The fact is, there's always going to be buyers out there who are buying them. Since there will be those buyers out there, we're going to facilitate that because selling those options gives us a 60 to 90% probability of success right from the very start of the trade. Now, the second mistake that buyers make is they choose expiration dates that are just simply too close to the current date. It's like when you go to a grocery store and see a piece of steak on the discount rack. Yes, it's cheap, but unless you cook it that night, it's going to spoil and rot. And the same is also true for options. Here's what you see what happens to the price of an option in relation to the number of days to expiration. We start out in the upper left, 180 days to expiration. And you can see the time value of the option slowly starting to tick away, slowly starting to tick away. But then in the final 45 days, the option's value decreases significantly. Unfortunately, this is where a lot of people buy their options because they're cheaper. The premium has decreased a ton and the options become cheaper. Well, again, it's like buying a lottery ticket. You're stacking probability against you. But remember, we're a seller now. Instead of buying options there, we are going to sell the options there because that decay works in my favor as a seller. Now, to be more specific, we use an expiration for the majority of our trades that are 21 to 45 days away. That's really the sweet spot of expiration that I seek. So here's a graph of Home Depot. Most buyers buy an option expiration maybe a month, month and a half out in that 45-day window, right? But notice how the value of the option just drops off because it's getting closer and closer to expiration. That's bad for the option buyer. But you're going to be the option seller. You're going to let that time decay work in your favor. Because remember this, there's always going to be people out there buying those options that are too close to expiration. You may as well be the one who sells it to them. You be the casino because you will always win in the end. Now, the third mistake that buyers make is they simply pay too much. They buy what's called an overpriced option. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Here's two stocks. I want you to look at the top here. They're both about 76 bucks. But even though the stocks have the same stock price, they have very, very different option prices. Why? One on the left is 900 bucks, one on the right is 180. Well, the one on the left has extremely high volatility, and that leads to the option being very, very expensive. Well, what's the big deal, right? It's just money. Watch what happens when a buyer buys an option that is overpriced, like the one on the left. Both stocks go up $8 per share, from 76 to 84. I want to show you what happens to the value of the options. The option on the left, even though the stock went up, the option on the left actually lost money. Think about that. The option buyer got direction right, but they still lost. The option guy on the right made like a 300% return. Why did the buyer on the left lose? Because the person who bought options of stock number one didn't pay attention to volatility. They simply paid way too much. Now, We, as option sellers, are going to take advantage of that because when we seek out these really expensive, overpriced options, we can stack probability even more. I got a great example of this later on. Also, the more expensive the premium, the cheaper or the lower the amount of risk we have in the trade. We're stacking probability even more on our side. Now, Bob has one of the most interesting stories I've ever seen. He said prior to working with us, he had taken and made all those mistakes that we talked about here. He said it cost him dearly. In fact, he ended up either broke or bankrupt 3 times, and in his own words, came close to living under a bridge. The options paycheck system turned his situation around in 4 months. He learned to turn those mistake liabilities into strategy that helped him control and stack probability in his favor. In 4 months, Bob grew his account by 71% and achieved a 79% winning trade percentage. Remember, folks, in order to control your returns and results, you've got to learn how to control and stack probability in your favor. Now, in the chat window, I want you to share with me. For those of you that have traded options, have you ever made any of those buyer's mistakes? Just give me a quick yes or no in the chat box. I'm going to take a drink of water real quick. Got a little scratchy throat. All right, I see lots of yeses. Gerald, Jeff, you guys were first. I see lots of yeses. Oh, here's one. Haven't traded options yet. All right, listen. If you haven't traded options yet, I like that. You want to know why? Because I can teach you from the ground floor so you don't make these mistakes. You don't have to make the mistakes that a lot of us made. That's the beauty. But listen, everyone who's traded options without a real system in place has probably made these mistakes. It's not your fault. It wasn't my fault at the beginning. I was just taught a broken system. So, now that you know you want to be an option seller, let's look at how to trade with very little risk. And when I see, and I tell a lot of people about options, especially selling options, they immediately think risky. The options paycheck system actually uses a low risk strategy for selling options. And this is why it's a core strategy we teach all our retirees. Now, why is reducing risk so important as an option seller? Because most people who are not using the options paycheck system, they're not preserving their capital properly. They can have one bad trade wipe out all the gains from a bunch of winners. Now, let me dispel this fear right off the bat. If you remember early on, I said we are controlling risk. I know the risk of all of my trades up front. I've never had this happen to me. And it's not because I'm Ron Super Trader. It's because I simply don't take that risk. I would never take a trade that has, let's say, a $1,000 potential profit and a $15,000 potential loss. That's reckless operation. I would never do that because if that happens to you, it makes it really hard to recover your losses. It's hard. It takes a long time to recover. So don't do it. But when you do it right with the right system in place, you're going to have a built-in protection plan. You're going to take care of risk management before you even open the trade. When you can select the stocks confidently, set up your trades in a way that reduces risk, it allows you to preserve and grow your capital. Like I said earlier, home runs look very, very good. Oh, I made a 3,000% return. But that's not how you make money. That's not how you create income. Singles are what wins the game. Low risk, quick profits, all good. One of the most common questions I get is, can I trade options from an IRA? Well, a client of ours, John, he said he grew his IRA over 112% in 1 year using our options paycheck system. John said he tried and struggled with trading for some time before working with us. He learned to follow the system and turned his inconsistent results into predictable monthly income. He said in 12 months, he had 85% winning trades and more than doubled the size of his IRA while spending no more than 15 minutes per day on his trading. I actually trade a small IRA as well. So you can do this in an IRA. Now, the options paycheck system makes sure you reduce your risk, and this is before you even open the trade. First, we choose stocks that are very low risk. We have a very specific criteria, but in general, if we're bullish, we start by focusing on good stocks that are already rising in price, very similar to the graph that you see here. Then, instead of selling options naked, we sell with some protection. So let me show you how to do this. Traditional option selling systems leave you with all of this risk down here. The options paycheck system, we're going to shrink your risk just to this. So let me show you how this works. Let me explain how this goes. This is a graph of a typical stock we would be bullish on. It's a beautiful graph, and it's understandably bullish on a stock that looks like this. Now, traditionally, people would buy the stock right here, or maybe they buy a call and use the current stock price as their strike price. But remember, you're not the buyer anymore. You're the seller. You're going to do this. When you are bullish, you are going to go beneath the stock price and you are going to sell a put. When you sell that put, you receive premium. In this case, $200 per contract. If you sold 10 puts, you would get paid $2,000. Now, the problem is that leaves you with all this risk on. Here's why. If you've never sold an option before, when you sell an option, it's a contract. And the best way that I can explain this is like comparing it to like insurance, right? You buy car insurance. Every 6 months you pay your premium. Well, during that 6 months, the insurance company protects your assets. If you have a claim, they have to pay out the claim. If you don't have any claim, your policy expires, they keep all the premium. Well, an option's very, very similar. When you sell a put, you may have the obligation to buy the stock, in this case for $135, sometime over the course of the contract until it expires. So let's say disaster happens and all of a sudden the stock opens up at $100 a share for no reason. You may be forced to buy the stock at $100. You just experienced a massive loss. Bad. We don't ever want that, right? It's why we don't sell options naked, by the way. What we're going to do is we are going to limit the risk to this amount by buying an insurance policy. We are going to simultaneously buy a put as insurance. Now that put cost us money. When we sold the option, we made $200. We got paid. When we bought the insurance, it cost me $100. So in the net transaction, I get paid $100 to place this trade. Okay? If I did this trade on 10 contracts, I would get paid $1,000. That's now the maximum money I can make. If both of these options expire worthless, which by the way, let me preempt this, we never let the options or these trades go to expiration. We always exit before. But if these options expired with no value, I could make $1,000. Okay? Now, that insurance, here's what it does for you. Let's say you sold the 135 put. The stock opens at $100. You're forced to buy the stock at 135. Well, that insurance put allows you to go sell that stock to somebody else for 130. Okay? You've limited your risk to $5. Now, let me also tell you, I've never actually had to do that, ever. I've been doing these types of trades for 15 plus years. I have never once had to go out there and be forced to buy or sell the stock or any of that stuff. Now, you might ask, well, Ron, if you've never done that, why do you buy the insurance? Well, the insurance makes the trade cheaper. It makes it easier for a new options trader to do. It protects you against volatility. There's lots of reasons that insurance is important. So even I still buy the insurance to this day. It's just something that you obviously should do. Now, when you do this trade, here's what's going to happen. You've now created a situation where if the stock goes up, you make money, right? If the stock goes sideways, you make money. If the stock goes down, as long as it stays above 135, you can still be profitable. And here's the kicker. If the stock goes below 135, we exit the trade and take a small proportional loss. That's something to remember. A lot of people don't, realize this about options. An option trade is like any other trade. If I went out and bought 1,000 shares of this stock at $135 or $140, if it goes down to 135 and I don't want to lose any more money, I just exit the trade. I go out and sell my shares. Options are the exact same thing. If I get into an option trade and the market goes the wrong direction, I can exit the option trade and salvage my losses. I can do that. I don't have to keep the options trade. Now, here's what I want to do. I want to show you a couple trades that I did last year with my students. These are, if you saw my results early where I made that 37% last year, these were a couple of the trades that I did last year. So I want to show them. Now I'm going to be showing some percentages, some numbers now, so make sure you pay attention. First thing I want to talk about, if the market is bullish, we place bullish trades only. Okay? So bullish market, bullish trades. And I want to show you a tip. We're going to generally target around a 60% probability of winning. So let me show you how this works. PHM, very nice uptrend. Let's zoom in a little bit closer here. You're going to win if PHM stays above the stock price or strike price that we pick. Now, here's how this works. Okay? When you go to an option chain, you're going to go out to your option chain, and the option chain in your broker is going to give you probabilities. A lot of people don't know this. But when you go to your option chain, there are probabilities. Now, here's how they work. Okay? I go out there and look, and I see that a $75 strike price when the stock is 76 gives me a 56% chance of staying in profits. Why? Because the stock is right here. As long as it goes up, sideways, or down to here and stays above there, I can make money. Now, if I go to 73% at $73 a share, now, as long as the stock stays above here, I can make money. Okay? If it comes down to here at 70, I would have a 91% probability of making money. Now, let me ask you a question. Which probability do you think that you would pick in a situation like this? A, B, or C? What do you think? Okay? A couple of you are saying B. Gerald, you were first with B. Mike, you were first with C. A couple of you are saying B. Jeffrey saying B also. A lot of B's, some C's. Now, let me explain this number one. Okay? First off, those of you that selected B, you're absolutely correct. That's really the one that you want to pick because that's the one that's right around that 60% target. Now, let me explain for those of you that selected C. Okay? Right here, this is one of those trades that sounds really good on paper. Oh my gosh, I got a 90% probability here of making money. The problem is you have a 90% probability of making, let's say, $1,000, but you have a 10% probability of losing 15,000. What good is making 9 winners of $1,000 at 9,000 if you're going to lose 15 on the next trade? That's too much probability, and that's where a lot of option sellers fail. You got to understand the sweet spot, and that sweet spot is right in that 60 to 70% range. Now, that transaction is called a bull put spread. Okay? We are going to sell a $73 put, 21 to 45 days away, and we are simultaneously going to buy the $70 put. All right? This is a bull put spread. I love the name because bullish. Bullish, but something you do when the stock's bullish. Puts, because you're using puts. Spread, because you have two options at different strike prices. Now, what I want to have happen is this. I want the stock to go up. And that's what happened. In 3 days, the stock popped up, and I was able to clear $876 in profits. Now, I would be exiting the trade, by the way, if it did the opposite. If the stock didn't go up and it fell below that level, I would then exit the trade and take a small proportional loss. Now, that trade was pretty quick, 3 days. We generated about $876 in profit. Now, when the market is bearish, because I remember we can do this in either direction, we place bearish income trades. Here's an example on Target. Target had a lot of bad press last year. The stock was in a nice free fall. It broke below a prior support level. All that beautiful stuff. So let's zoom in a little bit closer here. You're going to win if Target stays below a specific strike price. Now, prior to that expiration date in red, I go to my options chain. All brokers have a way of depicting probability. Here's what I see. I see 145 at an 85% probability. I see 140 at 76, and I see 135 at 64. Let me ask you a question. Which option would you pick in this scenario? Just curious. What do you guys think? I'll give you a couple seconds to type in some answers. All right. Lots of A's, lots of B's. Terry, you said A, a lot of B's. Jeff, Jeffrey, Gerald, Harold, you said C. All right. So here's the thing. Those of you that selected A or, I'm sorry, C or B, you are both correct. You want to target an option in the 60 to 70% range. Now, if you said A, remember, too much probability is a bad thing. That's where you have that trade that might make you 500 but lose 5,000. We don't want that. Okay? Now, why is B and C correct? Well, number one, C is correct because it's in that 60 to 70% range. But remember what I told you guys earlier? That in some cases, options get really expensive. And when they get expensive, we can even add more probability. Well, here's the kicker. In this particular trade, I was able to actually go out to that 76% and place that trade. In some trades, I can even go out to 85%. It's all about the risk and it's all about the reward. Okay? Now, this trade is bearish. It's called a bear call spread. We are going to sell a $140 call, and we are going to simultaneously buy a $145 call as our insurance. Bearish because it's a bearish trade, calls because now we're using calls, and spread because it has two options at a different strike. That's the spread. Now, this one's a little more typical. The market did go down. It took about 7 days, 7 trading days to get there. But again, same result, 765. That's the idea. Direction's critical, but if it doesn't go in your direction, we still have that area to where we can make money. Now, another client I worked with is Jim. He said prior to working with me, he told me his results were very inconsistent and he felt unsatisfied. He kept thinking there had to be something else out there that was better. Have you ever felt that way? Like there's something more out there that you're just missing? Jim said he wanted a way to supplement what he was doing and would provide more of a regular income with a higher probability of success. He said after learning the system, he had 21 winners in a row and returned 76% in his first 8 months. And his average trade lasted about 8 days. Can you imagine how that must feel to be going from inconsistent to where all your trades are generating income? Well, that was Jim. What about you? What would an income system like this allow you to do? Do me a favor. Think of what 3% per month, how would that affect your life? What would you be able to do with an income system that looked like that? Give me a couple examples in the chat box. I'm kind of curious. How would that change your life, that 3% per month? All right. Retire even sooner. Give more comfort. Travel to Bali. I love that. Hell yeah. I mean, sorry. Sometimes I get emotional. I say words I shouldn't say. My bad. Allow consistency. Retire earlier. Give more comfort. Exactly. Terry, did you say 30 days? 21 to 45. Harold, visit grandkids more often. Yeah, it's kind of funny about that. We were talking last night. I have a 7-year-old. And he was saying, I'm like, you're going to live with us forever, aren't you? He's like, no, I'm going to move out, get married, and have kids. And, I'll bring the grandkids over and visit you. I'm like, well, you can visit us in Florida, in Naples, where we're going to live. He's like, well, then I got to buy plane tickets. Then I got to, I'm like, wow, already starting with you can't see your grandkids because, anywho, I just thought that was funny for my 7-year-old son. All right, exactly. Listen, there's a lot that you can do with that 3%. And it really all comes back about to the gambler or that casino analogy. Buying is gambling. Selling is about controlling risk and putting the odds of success in your favor to generate income. The paycheck system makes sure you have a guaranteed maximum risk. And it all goes back to whether you want to be that gambler or the casino. Listen, the house always wins in the end. Being an option seller is the path to consistent income. It allows you to do it more safely with a higher probability of success than just buying and selling stocks. Now, I want to put this together. I want to show you how you can have a bulletproof system, which you can do in as little as 15 minutes a day. My students who have implemented this system have told me this is the most important thing that they learned. Why? Well, one of the biggest things people ask me is how much time is this going to take me? And it's a great question. Here's the challenge. There's thousands of stocks out there. You got to find how to pick the right stock with the right strategy. When do you get in? What expiration? What price? What do you do if it goes against you? When to get out? You think that was a mouthful? A lot of people kind of do. They say that with all the data, they can't find their trades easily. It's like a needle in a haystack with so much information and so much stuff they got to go through. They spend hours researching their trades, or you're going from guru to guru looking for the holy grail, right? Without a system, you're trading blindly. You're like a mouse running through a maze, bumping into wall after wall. You don't know where to go. It's stressful. It's disheartening. But with the right system, you can identify good trades, get reliable income in as little as 15 minutes a day. But to do that, you need a system, and not just any system, a straight line system. You need a really simple way to know when to place your trades, how to find them, how to set them up, and how to manage them. So let me walk you through the pieces of the options paycheck system in the order they go in. Listen, nobody else teaches options selling this way. I'm teaching you the whole thing, not just the options, but everything. There's 6 pieces. The top 5 build on each other, and that 6 kind of ties it all together. We actually start out with market direction. And a lot of traders ignore this. They just go out and start placing trades. I think this is bullish. I think this is bearish. But what we're going to do is we're going to place trades that are either bullish or bearish in one time. But to do that, you got to know the market direction. You're narrowing your focus. When the market is bullish, we're going to place bullish trades. If the overall market is bearish, we're placing bearish trades. We have a timing system built into this that easily tells us market direction. After you know the direction of the market, you want to find stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction. So just trading the stocks you know, listening to the gurus on TV, it's not the best choice. You want to find stocks that are already in uptrends when the market's going up, bad stocks that are in downtrends when the market's falling. Our options paycheck system saves a lot of time in 2 ways. We look at 2 main things, fundamentals and price trend. We have pre-built searches in our VectorVest platform that we use instead of digging through all the data the institutions throw at you. Now it's time for options. Once you have that list of stocks, you want to find a way to select the best ones for option trading. Remember earlier how we talked about volatility and options pricing? We want to sell those options with volatility in the upper end of the range, but we don't stop there. To take even more risk out of the trade, we filter out those with upcoming earnings, and we make sure the expiration date is in the sweet spot. Now, you can use your tools from brokers to help. We happen to have a proprietary search tool which finds these really in just a matter of seconds for you. Now it's time to set up your trade. We pick the one that gives us the highest probability of success, just like we did earlier, based on the strike prices of the option. However, we have to manage the risk reward, the combination of the right probability and the right risk. That's critical in trade setup. Once we have that high probability trade all picked out, you got to know what to do if the trade goes for you or against you. I don't want you sitting in a trade feeling frozen like a deer in the headlights because you don't know what to do. Our paycheck system has rules to take profits at predefined levels. This can actually be set up in your advance with your broker. Every one of my trades I have on right now has a order in place to take profits. And if a trade goes against you, we have an adjustment strategy that's optional that you can use that can bring in more income to minimize your losses. We also know when to exit the trades for a loser. And in some brokers like IB and Thinkorswim, we can actually set those orders up ahead of time. That way, if it gets stopped out, it's very unemotional for me. And then last, we want a way to do this quickly. You don't want to be spending all day on the process. So you need a tool that allows you to do these quickly and something you're comfortable using. Now, some brokers have better tools than others. I think Thinkorswim has great tools, Tasty Trade has good tools, Fidelity has good tools, Schwab has good tools, a lot of the mainstream brokers. I actually like to use some proprietary tools from VectorVest called Options Pro, and that saves me a lot of time. Now, earlier we talked about Mike and Jim. Each of them is getting the results in about 15 minutes a day. Well, so is Hugh. He actually told me one of his biggest struggles was finding a system that was efficient and worked. He said he didn't have the proper balance between trading and free time. He didn't have that proper work-life balance. Are you like that too? Do you spend too much time doing things that you don't want to do and not things that you want to do? Hugh said that now that he learned and implemented the options paycheck system of selling options, he has more confidence, more free time, and he's able to have more fun. In his first 43 trades, he had 38 winners and returned over $26,000 in profits. So let's do this. I want to do an exercise with you. I want you to take your pen, put a little star next to the part of your system where you're really good. So for example, if you have a quick way to find a list of stocks likely to go in your direction, put a little star there. But if there's an area where something isn't working or you need work on it, put a frowny face. If you don't know how to trade an option spread, then you're probably going to be a frowny face from option selection down. Don't overthink it. I want you to take about 15 seconds and give yourself a star or a frown. I'm willing to bet maybe 1 in 100 investors will ever know how to do this. Now, in the chat, I want you to share with me, what areas do you need to work on? Share with me in the chat window. I'm just kind of curious to see where you are in your option experience. All right, basic newbie Michael said, so all of the options, trade setup, tool for speed, Michael, Jeffrey, and Gerald. I see options down. So, okay, a lot of you actually are pretty good at stock selection and market direction. That's good. That's a good start. Option selection, trade management. Done this before, but I need more trade management. Bill, you mentioned about scan for which stocks to do options for. Richard, overpriced options. So that's part of option selection. Now, listen, we ultimately need to have stars all the way down because once you get to that point, you'll be ready to generate income every month and do it in less than 15 minutes a day. So, listen, I can't know the exact reasons you came to today's webinar, but I'm going to make a few guesses. Maybe you've been trading blindly, bumping into wall after wall after wall. It's left you with inconsistent results. You make some money, but then you give it right back on your next trade. Just like Jim talked about before he implemented the options paycheck system. Maybe you're suffering through loss after loss, and those small losses are just killing your portfolio. Maybe the money coming in isn't exceeding the money going out. Maybe you're just not where you want to be. And today I showed you the secret to fixing that. And it's a secret I bet only 1 in 100 investors will ever know. And now you're one of them. You saw it's possible to win even if you're wrong. How when you do it right, you can do it with very little risk. It's even less risk than buying and selling stocks. You saw that with the right system to get consistent income each month, I showed you just a few of the many, many people who use this system every day so they never have to worry about their retirement again. You saw over and over that secret to generating consistent income is that shift from being the gambler to being the casino. Remember, you're going to be that one investor out of 100 that knows the secret. That means there's 99 other investors out there who continue to do things wrong. They'll be buying their options, making all the mistakes that we talked about. We can't stop them from doing it. Okay? There's always going to be those gamblers out there. Let them be the gamblers. As long as there are gamblers out there, they need the casino. That's us. Remember the old saying, the house always wins in the end. The paycheck system teaches you how to stack probability of success in your favor. Just like it taught Brian and Bruce and Bob and Jim and Hugh and John. So at this point, if you're like most people, you're wondering, well, how do I implement the paycheck system in my portfolio? Well, you have a choice. Option number one is you can choose to do absolutely nothing and stay where you are right now. If you already have enough money to retire, you're not worried about running out of money, then maybe you don't need the paycheck system. That's a great place to be. But if you would like to make some extra income every month, that leaves you with two other options. Two is you can do it alone. Try to learn how the options trades work, try to figure out the direction of the market, learn to analyze the thousands of stocks out there, find the best ones, hope you pick the right one, manage it right. Listen, if you're willing to work hard and spend hours in front of your computer, learn a little bit by trial and error, you might be able to pull it off. But option three is let us guide you. Let us guide you through it. I'll walk you through each piece of that paycheck system, and in just a few weeks, you're going to have a simple system to follow that doesn't take a lot of time. So out of those three options, which is going to be the easiest for you? You know, there's two types of people. Person number one is someone who dreams about their financial goals but never take action or do anything to make it happen. The second kind of person is someone who's serious about their financial future. You're ready to take action when you see a good opportunity in front of you. And since you're dedicated to be with me to this point, I'm willing to bet you're person number two. And that makes you the perfect candidate to get started on that first options paycheck. So let me tell you what we put together for you. The options paycheck experience is the most comprehensive program for generating consistent income using option spreads, even if you've never traded an option before. The Paycheck Experience is the only implementation program of its kind that teaches you the secret to generating consistent income with options, because we show you exactly how to find the trades, set them up, manage the option spreads to help you generate income in any market safely and consistency. You'll never have that fear of running out of money. After you go through the course, you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work along with all the fancy terms. You'll no longer have a fear of options. You're going to have clear signals telling you whether to place a bullish or a bearish trade and when to place no trade. You're going to be able to quickly identify the stocks that are the best candidates using a very rules-based approach. That's going to free up a lot of your time. You're going to be able to set up income trades that can give you a baseline 70% or better success rate. Again, even if you've never done this before. We're going to give you a trade management plan. You're going to have it in place prior to placing your trade so you can't handle any situation the market throws at you. We're going to talk about entering and exiting trades with your broker. So whether you've done a spread before or never done a spread before, you'll be able to go in there and commit this to muscle memory. You're going to be able to implement a system that helps you safely and consistently generate income. You'll be able to live that lifestyle you want without that fear of running out of money. Now, the course is 8 modules long, and we made them so each module builds on the one prior. As you go through the modules, you're getting closer and closer to that end goal, which is that system for consistent income. Now, for those of you that are new at options, the first 2 modules, we call these the Option Income Foundation. A lot of people try to build their income portfolio, but they base it on such a weak foundation of knowledge. We understand what it's like to learn options for the first time. We've been there. That's why it pays to learn from a team who's gone through this before. The outcome from Module 1 is you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work so you can confidently use them in your trades. You're going to know which terms to pay attention to, which terms to ignore. That way you're not wasting time or getting frustrated. In Module 2, you're going to learn what a spread is, how it works, the mechanics of how they work. You're going to be filled with the confidence that you need to start building your income system around these powerful trades. And now that you've constructed that solid foundation of options knowledge, now we're going to lay out that step-by-step system to placing income trades to generating your options paycheck. Each step along the way is going to stack probability in your favor and reduce risk. And it all starts with knowing when to trade. And this, you're going to get clarity on market trends. So instead of looking at all possible trades, you're going to narrow your focus. You're going to know whether to trade bullish, bearish, or even when not to trade. After you know the direction of the market, you're going to want to find stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction. This is going to stack probability even more in your favor. The outcome here is you're going to know how to quickly find the best stocks and indexes to trade that are going to give you the highest probability. Now you got your list of stocks. We're going to narrow it down to the best options candidates that give you the highest probability for profits. You're going to hear me say probability a lot because that's what this is all about, stacking probability. By using the rules in Module 5, you're going to make sure that you get paid top dollar for your trade and making it so you can make money even if the stock goes nowhere. You're going to continue to stack probability and reduce risk in Module 6 by the way you set up your trades. You're going to know the exact combination of risk and where to set your strikes. So you're not going to be able to look, you're not going to look at an option chain and be like, oh my gosh, where do I do this? We're going to give you the guidelines to do it exactly right. Great trades, they don't happen by accident. They're because of careful planning and setting them up correctly right from the start. Now that you got your high probability trade picked out, you're ready to place it. In Module 7, we're going to talk about how to have your plan in place so you know when to exit the trade, not only to take profits, but to minimize losses. You're never going to be frozen like a deer in the headlights again. No matter what the market throws at you, you'll know how to react, and that's going to allow you to trade completely stress-free. And now that you got your best stock, you got your low risk, high probability option trade, you mapped out your management plan, now it's time to place the trade. This module is going to break down the trade execution phase into simple, repeatable steps that, like I said, you can commit to muscle memory in no time. We put everything you need into a checklist. That way you never miss a step. When someone's first starting out, it's always comforting having that security blanket to make sure you did everything correctly. And plus, placing trades with your broker can be very intimidating. So in addition to video walkthroughs of several popular brokers, I actually put together a click-by-click direction for the most popular broker, Schwab's Thinkorswim platform. It's who I use. Now, before we talk about the low price of the course, I want to make this even more low risk. We offer a 100% money back guarantee in the course. You can go through the entire course, and if you're not satisfied that we taught you how to profit using options, just notify us within a week of the finishing the course, and you get all your money back. It's completely no risk. All we ask is that you give it your best effort. Either come to the live classes or watch the recordings. It doesn't matter. Do the assignments, because we know if you do, you'll see the results. If you don't do the work, you won't be eligible for a refund. And the reason I have such a tight refund policy is because I only want to attract those who are incredibly excited to jump in, do the work, and get the results. I want to attract serious investors. In order to do that, when I have that tight refund policy like this, I only attract those people who are serious about getting results. What results? With this system, you're going to be learning something that averages 3% per month. That's 36% per year on average. And remember, it doesn't take a lot of time to do this every week. I received this email from a client who took the course. Ron, I'm writing to thank you for teaching the Options Paycheck course. I took your class last fall and wanted you to know my results for the past 10 months. I keep a journal to document every trade, and so far I've profited on 239 trades out of the 350 I've taken, a 68% winning rate. I've profited over $100,000 in that time. What's more exciting is that since my knowledge and experience have grown in regards to taking really good risk reward trades, I've profited over $50,000 in the last 6 weeks. My success rate has been 78% over my last 100 trades, and I only take trades with a 2-to-1 or better risk reward. I want to thank you again for teaching this simple but effective system. Now, first off, let me explain. Joe actually trades a lot more than I do. He said in 10 months he placed 350 trades. I don't place 350 trades a year, okay? I place like 150 trades a year. I do like 2 or 3 trades a week on average. Joe does a lot more than I do, and that's okay. That's the beauty of the system. You can place one index trade a week, or you can do like Joe and place hundreds of trades, okay? Now, if I told Joe I'd give him 100 grand in exchange for his 2, do you think he would take that trade? Would you? I'm going to be making you an even better offer than you're going to see here in a second. Now, before I tell you more about it, I need to point something out here. This is not a get rich quick scheme. Okay? It's not something where you should expect to become a millionaire in the next 24 hours. This is serious and it requires some effort on your part. So if you're not serious, you can't commit to it, then don't do it. It's not for you right now. This is for serious people who take their investing seriously and who are willing to put in the time to learn the system. So if you're serious about it and ready to get the results, then the Options Paycheck experience is perfect for you. Step-by-step training to go from option basics to a full, complete income-generating system. Just these training modules alone are worth the price of the course, but we've got some amazing bonuses for you as well. Bonus 1 is what we call the Mastery Package. The Mastery Package includes module-by-module mastery sessions. Each week, we'll have 2 mastery sessions live, one dedicated to each module to help you master the course material. Plus, on Friday, I'll have an additional live Q&A. That means you're going to have 3 live sessions each week, giving you plenty of opportunities to ask questions and get help. The Mastery Package also includes private dedicated email support with me and my team. Additionally, if you don't already have it, we'll give you access to VectorVest and Options Pro for the live portion of the course. That way you can use what I think are the best tools in the industry to test drive. The Mastery Package bonus, you're going to have the tools and support that you need so you can master the techniques taught in the course in the shortest possible time. Now, speaking of shortest possible time, we're also going to give you what we call the implementation month. You're going to get access to my live trading sessions. Remember those trades I showed you earlier? Remember the 37% I showed you last year? All those trades were done in my live coaching trading sessions. You're going to get access to that for a month. I'll show you how I find, select, set up, and place my trades. This is a huge bonus. The paycheck system in action you're going to see. And you can follow along on your own account if you want to. I'm also going to hold live office hour sessions twice a week. Together, we're going to walk through the system step by step in real time. Our past students have said this is one of their favorite parts of the course. Watching that repetition really helps cement the concepts and the process for them. So if you're worried it might be too much, I'll also include this bonus called the SPX Paycheck System. This is where I take the entire course, boil it down to something you can do in as little as 15 minutes a week with one trade, one ticker symbol, one setup rule, one profit rule, one stop criteria. This is a very simple and easy trade to do. My teammate Brian, who you're going to hear from shortly, he taught this to his then 14-year-old daughter, and she was able to do it. For a lot of my students, this is the only system they actually use. So, with a recap, today's offer, you're going to get the complete options paycheck system, training program, which includes 8 training modules, the videos, the checklists, the cheat sheets, the quizzes, the slides, and more. You're going to get the bonus mastery package, the implementation month bonus, and the SPX paycheck system. The total value, $54.75. So here's the opportunity in front of you. I'm going to roll up my sleeves, work with a couple hundred people who are serious about generating income. And if you choose to be one of them, we're going to create an income system in your portfolio, even if you've never had success with options. We're going to do this. If you want to join me and have me take you by the hand and help you install that option income system in your portfolio, then instead of the $5,000, the early bird price of the course is only $12.95. Now, because you have spent about an hour with me today, I got a little special bonus for you. If you order before the end of the live webinar today, so instead of paying $12.95, you can get it for $9.95. That means you're going to get the full course, 1 year of access to the course materials, the mastery package, and the implementation month, all for $9.95. Now, that $9.95 price will only be for those who register before we finish up today. Once we finish the live session, the price goes right back to $12.95. All you got to do, www.optionspaycheck.com, and get yourself registered. And listen, I know that $9.95 is a lot of money, but you got to ask yourself, what's it going to cost you not to do this? How much money are you going to lose by learning trial and error? How much potential profit are you going to miss out on? How much time and energy are you going to spend trying to do this on your own? And then ask yourself, how would life be different if you did it and it works? You know, there's an old saying that the best time to plant an oak tree is 20 years ago, so you can be sitting under it now enjoying the shade. Do you know when the second best time is? It's today. It's not too late to begin to prepare yourself for retirement and learn to generate income. This is one of those deciding days in your life. Is it going to be the day you decide to take action and set yourself up for secure retirement? Or will it be the day you look back on where you squandered an amazing opportunity to create a consistent income stream? I hope you don't regret the decision you make. Don't miss this opportunity. I look forward to working with all of you in class. So again, go out to www.optionspaycheck.com, get yourself registered. Remember, that $9.95 price is only available while we're live on the webinar. If you've never taken the Options Paycheck course before and you want the lowest price, that's where you're going to find it right now. After the webinar, back to $12.95. So don't wait or you'll miss out. Go to optionspaycheck.com, fill in your details. And what I'm going to do is I want to go over a couple of the most common questions, and then we're going to open it up for a live Q&A. So, first question I always get is, when are the live sessions? Very, very good question. What happens if I miss a live session? Well, let's talk about it. First, the live sessions all start on January 30th. So next Tuesday, 7 days from today, we start with a welcome session. That welcome session is designed just to show you where all the course materials are and all that stuff. Then on Wednesday, we do our first mastery session. So if you sign up for the class today, by next Wednesday, I want you to watch Module 1. 4:30 on Wednesday of next week, we're going to discuss it in a live course. February 1st, we're going to do Module 2, and then the open Q&A on Friday. And you can see how the live schedule goes for the rest of the month of February. You do not have to attend these live sessions. These live sessions are all recorded. You can watch them after the fact. It's all good. Okay? We have all these live sessions because we want to increase the probability that you may be able to come to one. If you can't, it's no big deal. In fact, you can even send us an email and say, hey, Ron, I can't make the session tonight, but could you talk about this for me and answer my question? And we'll do it. Then you can watch the recording later to see your question get answered in it. Now, this is the month we learn. And then March is the month we trade. So in the month of March, even if you're not ready to trade, you're going to learn how we do it. I do my trades on Monday at 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. You're going to get access to those live classes. Then on Wednesday and Friday, we're going to do office hours, 4:30 on Wednesday and noon on Friday. Again, all this stuff is recorded, so if you can attend it live, great. If you can't, not a big deal. I will say, though, for those of you that might work, that Wednesday office hour session is really nice because the market is closed. Now, I know you might be thinking, well, what can we do with the market closed? I'll show you how you can look for trades and place orders for the next trading day. So that's something we do on Wednesday. Now, another one of our clients who took the course, Greg, He says, prior to the course, I struggled with knowing how to protect myself when the market was moving away from me, and I feared if I didn't fix it, I'd lose more of my portfolio than I could afford to lose. After taking the options paycheck course, I feel better prepared to trade and much more confident. In the first month, I made a net of $10,200 from my options income trading with 9 winners and only 1 loser. I would absolutely recommend the course. It was very well done, very educational and informative. It's an excellent educational opportunity that I'm thankful I took advantage of. Don't let fear hold you back. You will make more in the first month than you paid to take the course. I was one of those fence sitters who didn't take the course for a long time when I saw it offered. I lost a lot by not taking the program sooner. I'm very grateful and appreciative of the work that was put into making this training program available. Now, for those of you that are on the fence because you're new at options trading, we've polled our prior attendees, and 85% of the course graduates said you can be successful even if you have little to no prior options experience. Modules 1 and 2 will get you to the options experience levels that you need. This is just a few more of our prior students. Cheryl, I've surpassed my expectations. I don't need the money back guarantee because I tripled my investment. Frank, after taking the course, I already have a profit of $7,300. Before the course, it was a crapshoot. Now I believe in the options trades that I'm doing. Cam, I've made my initial investment back so many times over. Even though it's a small part of my portfolio, it's probably the most profitable. Jake, I finally found a method of making consistent winning trades with a high probability of success. These are some more comments from our more recent students. Neville says, thanks for a wonderful course where within a short period of time, you've opened our eyes to many things. Your experience, enthusiasm, and your desire to teach comes through easily. You put a lot of thought into the training manual, and I've already paid for the tuition with a few 35 Delta SPX trades. David says, the options paycheck experience is by far the best course I've ever attended in all my years with VectorVest since '99. You've eliminated my fear of options trading. The manner in which you present the material is truly outstanding. And Ben, the attention I received for all my email questions is above and beyond what I expected. A lot of my questions were demonstrated in class, which made my learning much easier. Again, get off the fence. Get to optionspaycheck.com. Get yourself registered. That $9.95 price is only available while we're live in the webinar. After the webinar, it goes right back up to $12.95. Registration actually closes next Tuesday at 10 a.m. So get in there. Get in this class. Get your 2024 started out right, and then you can experience hopefully in that 3% per month gain. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to bring in my colleague Brian, who's been in the background working hard answering questions. We're going to bring him in. He's going to go over some of the questions in the background, talk a little bit about what to expect next, and together we will hopefully remove any doubt in your mind. Brian, welcome aboard. Hey.
Hey, thank you. Ron, the first comment I read down that just came in as you were finishing up there from Gerald, I love this one. Well, I'll just read it first. He says, I'm in. I've listened to this presentation before, and it's helped me, but I'm ready for the next level.
Excellent.
So I appreciate that, Gerald. Welcome to the class. And that brings up a good point. It reminded me of reading the surveys that we get after we finish a class. So when we're done with a class and the students go through, we send a survey asking how the class was and how we can improve it, and what kind of hesitations they had beforehand and what they were thinking about when they were signing up and things like that. And I know in several surveys, I hear things like Gerald had said. They say things like, I wish I would have taken this class a long time ago, or I first watched Ron give this presentation a year ago, and I wish I would have done it back then. Yes. So all that to say, if you feel that it's right for you, then do it. Don't wait. Ron talked about the analogy of the oak tree. Don't sit here 12 months from now and be like, man, I should have done it 12 months ago. Now's the best time to get in there and start doing it. So Gerald, welcome to the group, and everybody else who is in, welcome to all of you. In fact, those of you who are in, please check your inbox. Yeah, your email inbox, because there should be an email in there immediately from us with all the details. So check it out. There's the directions to access the course. There's the link to get in there. There's everything you need is in that email. And if you happen to find it in your junk or your spam folder, mark it as not junk or not spam and drag it to your inbox. Try to train your email provider to treat those types of emails from us as safe. Because throughout the course, we're going to keep you engaged, keep you notified, and probably send you about 2 emails each week throughout the course so that you know everything that's going on and you don't miss anything, and you're fully educated on what's going on in the course. So check that email. It's there now. Let's see. Oh, by the way, Ron, you mentioned this earlier, that they actually have access to all the materials right now. So not only can they just log in, but they can actually start going through the training before, I believe you showed the calendar, the first live session next week.
Yep, that's correct.
All right. And there was a gentleman earlier, Jeffrey, was asking, hey, are you going to have that SPX paycheck again? And we were talking in the chat about how it's that bonus module. So Jeffrey, since you were asking that question, anybody else who were interested in just options paycheck, if you want to do what Jeffrey's talking about and skip ahead to that SPX training, have at it. Just go in there. You can go through that in about 60 to 90 minutes. And maybe, what is today, Ron? Tuesday? Maybe throughout this week, they could be ready to, maybe even if they're a real go-getter, place their own trade before you even have your first live session.
It's doable.
It is doable. All right. So, Ron, I'll mention one other quick thing before we get into the questions, and that is just a reminder that the $9.95 is good while we're live. We'll show you we'll show you how to order in just a moment. The price will go to $12.95, and then registration closes next week. It's basically 1 week from today, the 30th of January. Registration will close for good. You can't get in after that. It'll be Tuesday, the 30th at 10 a.m. Eastern. Okay. All right. With all that, Ron, I'm going to go over to the main man himself, Mr. Wheeler, and ask you some of the other questions that have come in as far as the options paycheck system. All right. So there's the question about like the size of an account.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the question is like, what is the minimum that I need? And since that was a question, maybe you could touch on the opposite of that. Is like there a maximum? Is there an ideal amount? So I'll pass that over to you.
Sure. So the minimum, generally speaking, from your broker and from a risk perspective, would be $5,000. With $5,000, you're going to be able to trade one contract of the SPX based on our risk analysis. So you can open up an account with $5,000. You actually saw in the early part of the session how that can easily multiply over the years. Now, how far up can you go? Based on my experience, I would say a system like this really starts to lose its ability to trade consistently anywhere probably past about $500,000. And it's one of the questions I get, Ron, if you're so good at this, why aren't you trading millions and millions of dollars doing it? Because it doesn't work for millions and millions of dollars. You're trading options. You're trading option spreads. I can't go into an option spread on, XYZ stock and do 3,000 contracts on a spread. After a certain amount, it becomes harder and harder to get in and out of trades. So I say that really starts to balance itself out right around the 400,000 or 500,000 mark. That's pretty much about the most that I'd be willing to commit to a system like this. That's why I always say this is a good part of an overall investment strategy. It's a part of it. You got to have other avenues for revenue and income, or for profits too. This is just one small part of it because it does have a kind of a higher end scale.
All right. Well, Ron, speaking of maybe the lower end, there's, I guess, two parts. There's people who actually just have a small account, like have a smaller account. And then there's people who have a bigger account who just want to dedicate a small amount of money to this while they're learning. Both are acceptable. So even if you have $100,000, $200,000, you might say, well, I'm only going to put $5,000 or $10,000 in this while I'm learning. That's totally acceptable. Get in there and kind of get your feet wet with little trades. But I want to touch on the smaller size. Well, I'll say it this way: the $9.95 is obviously not a cup of coffee, right? It's $995. A moment ago, I was mentioning those surveys that we read. The biggest hesitation that our students said that they had before signing up was the price. They're like, this $9.95, is it worth it? It's a lot of money, and especially the smaller account you have, the bigger chunk $9.95 is. So I'm going to ask you, Ron, maybe you could, those people who are on the webinar now who might be future students, that might be their biggest hesitation. Like, this $9.95 price. Could you address that and kind of just give people your honest opinion of this $9.95, this investment in it, and what your thoughts are?
Sure. I mean, I believe, deep down inside, I believe this is a good investment. Because even if you're starting at $5,000, that $9.95, you can place one trade a week And listen, you make 150, 200 bucks a month. If it works well, you're still going to make that money every month. Is it going to take a while to recover the 995 if you're trading with a small account? Sure, it's going to take a little bit of time to kind of build that money back up there. But the beautiful thing is the system that we've been using we've been using this I've been using it for over 15 years. It's not something that's going to go away. And the benefit of this system is I'm actually teaching you how to fish here. I'm not letting you rely on me to have you set up trades and I'm going to send you alerts and stuff. I'm actually teaching you how to go out there and find these trades in your own. That's the beauty of this. And then the other beauty here is remember, there is a money back guarantee. So I know the 995 is a lot to ask, but at the end of the day, if you're not satisfied and you've gone through the curriculum, you can always get your money back. That's the beauty of this. I say, hey, let me put my money where my mouth is, and I'll prove it to you that this really is worth your 995.
All right, excellent reminder. One of the things I love about it, Ron, especially the SPX bonus that you've got, is the complete rules-based system. And you ask any great trader, Ron included, and we had a gentleman named Dr. David Paul, who had passed away last year, but he talked about the psychology of trading. And one of the biggest things people need to do is follow a system and get good at following a system and sticking with it. And the more you have these rules built in that Ron has put into this system, the paycheck system, it makes it very simple to just follow that rules-based system and just keep doing it and keep doing it. And the important thing is that the system works and you kind of remove the emotion. And that's one of the things I love about it, Ron, is just every week I just take out my piece of paper with the rules built on it, follow it, rinse and repeat the next week. No emotions involved. It's just trade, 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 and then the results will come, right? The results come as a factor of following the rules that you put together.
Yep.
All right, Ron, why don't we use this time now to do two things. One, let's show everybody how to order. If we go to optionspaycheck.com, so you can see there's a little countdown timer there. That's when the $9.95 will go away. So you have a little bit of time left. But when you go to optionspaycheck.com, click on the register today button, and you can see that the price is discounted there. Before we click on buy now and save, I did want to point one thing out. Lower on this page, you can start to see that there's some testimonials like right there. We fit like 6 of them there. But right below that, there's a link that says view all testimonials. Now it takes a lot of time for us to reach out and connect with people and do interviews and things. But you could see that if you just go on this page, there's little mini testimonials, and you could read the full testimonials on any of these where people can tell you what their experience is. And you might say, hey, that's just like me. And there's several of them on this page that are also video testimonials, and you could hear it from their own mouth what their experience was with the course. So if you need any more reassurance about this course, you could hear from other people that are just like you on this page. But going back to that other page that Ron was on, I think it's on your other tab up there. There, perfect. If you click on that blue button, buy now and save, it should bring you to a page that has, think of it as 2 choices. A lot of you on today's webinar are already VectorVest members, which means you already have a username and you already have a password. If that's the case, then all you have to do is click sign in, and then it'll ask you for your username and password. And that way, when you order the course, it'll go onto your existing account. The only people who need to fill in the first name, the last name, the email, and the password below that are if you're listening to this webinar and you're brand new to VectorVest and you do not already have a username and password with us. If you do have any questions, by the way, and we don't get to them in today's webinar, there's a phone number in the upper right corner. You could talk to a real live person. We are located here in North Carolina, US. Just talk to a real person and they could answer whatever questions you've got. All right. Ron, before we get to another question from people in the chat, I think if you just show them the course itself, it might answer some of the questions that have come in. So Ron's going to give you a tour behind the scenes. It'll kind of open the curtain and you can see what the course looks like and everything that's in there. So Ron, I'm going to pass it over to you again.
Yep. So once you get the link, you're going to log into our university site and it'll show you the options paycheck experience. the entire course is going to be opened up for you. So theoretically, you could watch all 8 modules over the next couple of days. I prefer that you kind of watch, limit yourself to 2 a week so you have time to really kind of digest everything. But in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to see Welcome to the Paycheck Experience. We've got a Getting Started area, a live welcome recording that we're going to be doing next week, remember, on January 31st. But most importantly, the thing I want you to do right off the top, under the Occupant's Paycheck Experience, go to your course curriculum checklist and simply print this out. Because this is exactly that, a checklist. Over the next 8 modules, we give you a little paper that says, hey, I've done the snapshot, I've done my lessons, I've done all this kind of stuff, and I've completed module 1. Then you can write some questions down here if you have anything for us that we can answer for you. And we have sections for all 8 modules. But the most important thing is this last page. This last page is going to give you the schedule of all of our live events. So you'll have that up front. You won't have to worry about, oh my gosh, when are the other classes? They're right there on page 6 of the course curriculum checklist. They're all updated for you with all of the times and really everything that you need to know for the next 2 months. Now, right below that, you're going to see all 8 of our modules, and all 8 modules are broken down the same way. You've got your recorded lessons. These are the actual modules that you need to watch. So, if I go back to lesson number 1 on the course curriculum checklist, watch the snapshot, lesson 1, do the module review and action items, do the review questions. That's usually 10 to 15 questions that are going to make sure you understand the material. Every module has a walkthrough or an action items. We want you to go out there and actually start looking for this stuff either in your broker, in Options Pro, whichever platform you want to use. There's an FAQ section for frequently asked questions, and then there's a recording of the mastery session. So the mastery sessions are all recorded. Usually within about 8 hours or so, we get the recordings posted. But if you open that link now, I just want to show you, there already actually is a recording there from November 1st. That was my last options paycheck class. So if you wanted to go out there and watch module 1 and you wanted to watch the last module mastery session, you could watch the one from my last class. That's cool too. But that'll be updated next week when we do our first mastery session together. So you can see all 8 modules are basically broken down into the same way. Now, below the modules, there's your SPX trading system module. I would tell you, in my opinion, for those of you that are new, I would do the 35 Delta trade. That's the trade that I do every week. That's my recommendation to get you started. It's a very easy trade. There's no repairs necessary. It's a very straightforward system. Right below that are all the links for your office hours and Q&As. So like next Friday, we'll have a Q&A session. If you open up week 1, that's where your Q&A is going to be. Okay, that's not the link to get to it. That's the link to watch the recording. Below that, you have your live trading sessions. Now, these are the recordings that I did with my last options paycheck group. So if you open up SPX trading, you're going to see some post dates there from last year. These are all the trades I did last year with my clients. You could click on that link and you could actually watch me on 12 whatever, place my trade, go through the process, and pretty much show you everything I did that day. And then all my credit spread trades that I did with my last options paycheck class. Now, again, as we get into March and these get updated, you'll see all the new recordings there. For those of you that want to learn a little bit more about Options Pro, we got some tutorial videos you can watch. We've got broker help videos. I use Thinkorswim, so you're going to see that a lot during the course. I also use Fidelity, so you'll see a little bit of Fidelity as well. But we also have videos for Power E-Trade. We got Interactive Brokers, Ally, and then most importantly are these webinar links. Now, Brian mentioned to you earlier that, we send out reminders to all of our live sessions, but sometimes they get lost. Sometimes your, email puts them to spam or clutter. Don't ever get panicked if you're right before a class, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have a link. I don't have a link. All you got to do, go to live webinars, and guess what? They're all right here. There's the session for module 1, for all the welcome sessions. They are all going to be located right here. So you'll have that every time you come into this university. And then last but not least, under resources, this is where you can download all of the slides. As you get into the later modules, you're going to see our checklist that we're going to use, our position work sizing sheet, pretty much everything that you need to complete the course. So it's all right there for you. It's designed so you can access everything really, really easy, and you'll be able to get access to those just as soon as you sign up, right away.
All right. Nice overview, Ron.
Thank you.
All right. So if you have a question for Ron, go ahead and type it in the chat. We don't want you to think that we forgot about you. So if you typed it a while ago, it's now scrolled off our screen. So go ahead and you can copy and paste it into the chat. We'll give you another minute or so to find it and copy and paste it in there. Because I'll use this time while I wait for that to give you a quick reminder about the deadlines. The $9.95 is good while we are live here. It's about 20 more minutes, and then we'll switch that price back to the $12.95. The registration will close for good in 1 week from today, January 30th at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And then registration will close, and we got to get ready for our live sessions with our students. So that'll be happening on the 30th in the afternoon would be our first live session with our students. All right. So Ron, I'm looking, I don't see any additional questions that have slipped in to the chat. So I think we are all set to wrap up. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to you to do whatever kind of wrap up you'd like for today.
All right. Well, thank you, Brian, and to my other colleagues in the background who have been answering your questions as we go through. And I want to especially just send a shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for attending with me this last 90 minutes. I appreciate and value your time. So hopefully you learned something that really can take you to that next level. And for those of you that have signed up for the Options Paycheck, first and foremost, thank you. Second of all, I really look forward to working with you over the next 2 months. You know, I do these classes a couple times a year, and this is really like I call my Super Bowl because I love this stuff. I love trading. I love probability. I love options. I love all this stuff. This is like, my favorite thing to do. So I hope you're going to see that over the next couple of months as we work together and really experience that and really find yourself in a great position to make some good money this year. So thanks once again. Hopefully we'll see you next week in the live curriculum. And with that, I'll go ahead and close it out today. Thank you for attending and best of success to you in the future. Take care, everyone.